meeting before. So, oh, I see, share screen.
Oh.
So
yeah, no worries. Yeah, if you just see that share screen at the top, that's how, yep, and then you show your screen and we'll see the presentation.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Are you okay, Kat, if we record this just for our staff who aren't on at this time, if they would like to go back and re-watch? Is that okay?
Yeah, no, that is absolutely perfect. Okay.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to go ahead and start the recording right now. And then, Kat, you can go ahead and introduce yourself and tell the staff what you're presenting. And right now we do see the teams meeting, so we just see our names, just FYI. There we go.
Hopefully this will get it to go. So my name is Kat. I am currently a student at Metro University, and I also work at UC Health, so this kind of just lined up really well. And I'm going to be presenting today on sleep and lifestyle medicine and how you can enhance your sleep and also stress quality and how they relate to each other. Yeah, so again, I'm Kat. I'm a lifestyle medicine student, and the specific course that this presentation is for is called Community Health Education. And essentially, I'm taking things that I've already learned in my class and applying them in a real-world application, which is helpful because lifestyle medicine is a lot about teaching. And I do have to put a disclaimer that I am a student, not a doctor, so any information I provide is not in place of a medical professional. But I am a scrub tech at UC Health, and I am on the transplant team, and I love it here. So I had like a little icebreaker. I guess it's kind of difficult on Teams, but just to like get the conversation started about sleep, I wanted to ask, like, if anybody wants to just jump in and tell me, did you feel like you were well rested last night? Did you get enough sleep? What time did you go to bed? Did anybody have any weird dreams? I had some really weird dreams about grasshoppers for some reason last night. If anybody wants to jump in.
Yeah, if anyone wants to come off mute, go ahead, or just throw it in the chat. I'll come off mute and just say I probably went to bed about 10 o'clock last night. I struggle to remember my dreams often. I don't know if that's normal or not. And I never feel rested.
Okay. Does anybody else want to share?
I went to bed around 9 p.m. because I'm old and I can't last any longer than that. I don't usually remember my dreams, but I slept pretty good until my cat jumped on my head, but that was about it.
Classic scenario. I've got 3 of them, so I feel you there. All the time they're jumping and meowing. Yeah, so like I said, it's kind of hard to do these icebreakers, so when you're online and there's a little bit less human interaction, but I wanted to start off with what is lifestyle medicine. And it's essentially a branch of healthcare that's more focused on the preventing and managing of chronic diseases rather than the treatment for it. And it encompasses kind of a wide variety. So there are generally, they call it the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine. And that includes nutrition, physical activity, sleep, stress management, avoiding risky substances like cigarettes, alcohol, drugs, and social connection. And all of these are kind of the main parts of what lifestyle medicine is looking to utilize to prevent and manage those chronic diseases. All right, and so I went ahead and I got some data from the OR employees specifically, and I just sent out like a survey with some kind of basic questions, as you can see here, to get a sense of like, okay, what of these 6 pillars do people feel like they're really just lacking in, that they might not have the education for, or, just don't do very well. And as you can see, sleep was significant. Everything else I feel like people were pretty happy with. Nutrition, they were like, oh yeah, UC Health gives healthy options, and I feel like I eat healthy. Physical exercise, same thing. You know, we have a gym in the hospital. And I also wanted to include stress management because it was also rated fairly low, and there's quite a bit of a connection between the two of them. So that was just some raw data here. And then I have 3 main points that I wanted to go over after collecting this data. So my objective 1 is I want you guys to be able to define what good quality sleep is and to be able to tell when you've gotten good quality sleep. Objective 2, I want you guys to be able to identify and apply good sleep hygiene methods so that way you can improve your quality of sleep. And objective 3, I wanted to focus a little bit on the stress and how those two are interrelated and how stress impacts sleep and also how you can manage stress. I do have an activity. Again, I'm not sure how it's going to work. I don't know, have you guys ever played Kahoot?
Yeah, I think so. I think most of us have. I think we've done it on this meeting before.
Okay. I have it pulled up in another tab, so I'm going to open that up and see. I made it. Okay. And you guys should just be able to go, I think it'll give us instructions. Oh. Yeah, it should just host live. Okay, yeah. Going to www.kahoot.it on phone, iPad, anything. And yeah, you guys should be able to join. Feel free to use any name. I know when I was in school, it was really fun to use fun nicknames. Yeah, these are great. And I'm not sure how many people are going to be joining, just so I know when to start it. Or you just tell me when everybody's good and in here.
We'll just give it like 30 more seconds, and then whoever joins. And at that point, you can just go ahead and start.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start it. Great names, guys. And this is just like kind of silly little facts about sleep. Figured to start us off. Okay, great. 2 people got that one. I know it's kind of tricky because they're all numbers, so it's kind of just a guessing game. Let's see who's at the top. It is I, little Einstein guy. So yeah, being awake for 16 hours has the same effect on the brain as a blood alcohol of 0.05%, which for, you know, the average person is about 2 drinks. So that's kind of when the brain starts to shut down. So I said it's, you know, imagine doing surgery after having 2 beers. That would be silly and very frowned upon. Awesome. Yeah, this one kind of surprised me too. Okay, it is I still in the lead. So yeah, nowadays about 75% of people dream in color, and before only 15% did. So I just thought this was a fun little silly fact of how TV has impacted our sleep. Okay, cool. 4 people. Ooh, El Sleepy coming up, sneaking in there. So yeah, so we are paralyzed during our sleep, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard of sleep paralysis, kind of a weird little phenomenon that goes on. But we used to not be. A long time ago, before Homo erectus, we were not paralyzed in our sleep because we would sleep in trees, and that would be very dangerous. So now we can thank Homo erectus for letting us be paralyzed while we sleep and not get into danger. Okay, cool. Almost everybody got that one right. El Sleepy, you're on a roll. Streak of 3. Yeah, so this is why REM sleep is so important. It does so much for our brain. It's essentially the brain shaper. It helps us be, emotionally intelligent more so than a lot of other animals. And it also gives us the ability to dream, which is not seen in all animals. Although I have heard that they did studies that said dogs will dream about their owners, and I think that's pretty cute. Okay, nice even mix here. Ooh, and It Is I is back in the lead. And so yeah, non-REM sleep is just as important as REM sleep. It's basically fully responsible for transferring your memories from our short term to our long term. So it's very important for learning and recalling information. And final question here. Okay, wow. I'm surprised you guys got that one. Yeah, so 40% of Americans are not receiving enough sleep according to the CDC, and that's almost half. So that's kind of a very large portion of the population. So thank you. Oh, wait, we have to do the podium. Sorry, this is the very important part. Misha, Esther, It Is I. Nice. Great job, guys. Thank you for indulging me in that. Let's see, I might have to re-present every time I come out of this. I love Canva so much, but it is not the most user-friendly sometimes. It's gonna make me go through all the slides again. Okay, perfect. So yeah, thank you for indulging me in a little bit of a little activity. I know it's kind of silly. But before we really get started, I wanted to talk about kind of how sleep works. And I did talk a little bit or provided some fun facts about non-REM and REM sleep during that Kahoot. But this is just a little bit better of a diagram of what those cycles look like. And this is taken from this really awesome book that I read for a class, Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. Highly recommend. Such a great book. But as you can see here, the cycles are a little bit different. They're not even in everything, right? So you go to bed, you're getting more non-REM sleep in the beginning of the night, and then as the night goes on, you're going to be getting more REM sleep. And you kind of go through these cycles of going into non-REM, coming out of non-REM, back into REM. So this is why they say it's very important to go to bed at the same time, and that once you lose sleep, you cannot get that sleep back, which sucks, of course. But, if you go to bed at, this says 11 p.m. Let's say you go to bed at 1 p.m. You don't start from the beginning of the night where you might be getting all of that non-REM sleep, which, like I had said, is really good for memory and for learning. You're actually going to start right where in the middle of cycle 2. And same thing if you wake up earlier than you're used to. So I feel like this just gives us a little bit of a better grasp of how our sleep works during the night. So first objective, what defines high quality sleep? This can look like 7 to 9 hours for the average adult. There are studies coming out that says that women typically need 8 to 10, a little bit more. And it means going through multiple cycles of non-REM, deep non-REM, and REM sleep. And again, going to bed, waking up at about the same times. And when you're waking up, you're feeling well rested, like you've received good quality sleep. A lack of sleep can lead to a lot of things, as I'm sure everybody's aware of. Falling asleep at the wheel, not good. Impaired viewing of performance. The inability to regulate emotions. Certain psychiatric conditions, these can definitely make previous existing psychiatric conditions like anxiety and depression worse. But there is also research that says that it can cause some things, and a lack of sleep has been linked to schizophrenia. An increased blood pressure and heart rate. Weight gain, obviously, kind of goes hand in hand with the increased heart rate and blood pressure. And a lowered immune response, which I think we can all appreciate working at a hospital, having a good immune system. So sleep is so crucial to both our mental and physical well-being. It's not a luxury, it is a necessity. So we can apply this to the real world in the OR, which is what I was specifically looking at. And, I heard from several of you guys that you did not feel very well rested. And if we're going off of the 40%, then 40% of the hospital is also feeling that way. And this would also apply to the OR. And, the OR has very long hours, overnights, middle of the night cases, early mornings. So those in the OR frequently have reduced quality and quantity of sleep. And a lack of sleep can, decrease reaction time, it can lead to irritability, and it can also cause an inability to make more informed decisions, which all of these are so helpful to have in the OR. So again, I kind of wanted to open this up as a discussion, like as I had talked about in the Kahoot. If somebody is awake for 18 hours and they're on their 16th hour of working, how well do you think that they can manage working a stressful case or any case? I don't know if anybody wants to come off mute and just, give me their thoughts.
When I was bedside and had to do lots of call, it was very difficult because I'd have to stay up if I got called in the middle of the night. I'd have to do the case. I was in interventional radiology at the time, and I'd have to do the case, and then I'd have to work like a full shift after that, and I'd only get a 4-hour break in between, and then I'd have to stay. So it would be like no sleep, and anytime I go in, I've just you feel like it's very easy to make an error. So yeah, I guess that would be my reply.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for sharing. I'm sure we all have tons of stories of being sleep deprived and what that feels like and looks like. And I also did have a story that I wanted to share. I was working at a different facility, also doing transplant, which is a lot of overnights. But I wound up being sick and being unable to call out of my work. And basically being told that I needed to come in because there was a liver transplant. I wound up working for 19 hours straight. And by the end of it, I had started with like, oh, I have a little cold, my throat is sore, I don't feel super good. By the end, I was pretty sick. And when I went into the doctor, it turns out I actually had a bacterial upper respiratory infection. And it took 15 days for me to get better. And it was awful. And I really wish that this was like, me being over dramatic or an anomaly. But as you shared, and I'm sure that everybody in this chat has a story of something like this, it is unfortunately very common. And I love this facility, and this facility does a way better job of helping their employees. But I do think it's important that throughout all of healthcare, there should be a little bit more of knowledge and respect for sleep, for sure. And that leads me to sleep hygiene. And I feel like sleep hygiene is not really commonly discussed. You talk about, oh, I have good teeth hygiene and I floss and I brush and I use mouthwash, or I've got a skin routine if I, do my toner and my moisturizer and my serums, or even in your shower, you have a routine, you have certain hygiene things. But I think sleep is often really overlooked, that there is hygiene to it. And this can look like a lot of different things, and there's lots of examples within these. So some examples that I'll dive into a little bit deeper is having a consistent sleep schedule, which I talked about earlier, having a nightly routine, also having healthy day habits, and having a calm and quiet sleep environment. And I'll give some more specific examples of each of these. So a set sleeping schedule, which I know I've talked about multiple times, it's just very important. But going to bed at about the same time every night, of course, I understand you might be going to bed a little bit earlier for work, a little bit later on the weekends. Definitely making sleep a priority, I think, is something that all of us are a little bit guilty of. It's just so easy to be like, oh man, I have this and I have this and I have this and I just don't have time to do all these things. I guess I'm just gonna, go to bed a little bit later tonight. And while that can work, technically, like I said, sleep is so important for our mental and physical well-being that it's, in the long term, it's not great. And it's not great to be doing constantly, which I know I'm definitely guilty of. And then if a nap is needed, which I am for sure a napper, make sure it's short and not near bedtime. So for me, my rule is I will not take a nap after 3 p.m. And I generally don't sleep for longer than an hour and a half, but I try to get 30 minutes. If I wake up and I feel awful, I'll go back to bed for a little bit. And having a nightly routine. So like I said, with the shower and the skin routine and everything, doing the same thing. Humans, we love our routines. We really do. I'm a routine girly, for sure. So having this routine of like, okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm showering, I'm brushing my teeth, I'm putting on my pajamas, I'm getting in bed, I'm reading for 10 minutes, and I'm turning out the lights. It's definitely going to help train your brain of like, okay, we're doing it. We're showering, we're brushing teeth, pajamas, reading, bed. It's giving it time, and it's knowing, hey, I'm getting ready for bed. So very important, turning the lights down, turning off your electronics. Of course, I know it's so easy to have, and it's so easy to keep them on. And yeah, relaxing. So whatever this looks like for some people. I know for me, I've been really into crocheting lately. So before bed, I've been trying to crochet rather than watching, a movie or being on TikTok or whatever it is on my phone. Having healthy day habits also is helpful for sleep. And this looks like a couple of things, like going out, actually seeing the sun on our faces and not just fluorescent lights, participating in physical activities to tire us out, avoiding caffeine in the afternoon. Kind of same thing for me. I try not to drink caffeine after 1 or 2 p.m. and only using the bed for sleeping. And again, I know this is so hard to get out of the habit of. I know I personally love coming home. I love getting into my bed and turning on my heating pad and scrolling on TikTok and having a little snack. But like I said, our brains, they're so good at routines, which is super helpful. However, it can be definitely taken advantage of in a bad way. So if we keep doing that, eventually your brain is not going to associate your bed with sleeping. Otherwise, it's going to associate with, oh, TikTok and snack time. And then when you're getting into bed at night, that's what you want to do. Which, of course, you don't. You want to be sleeping. And then having a calm and quiet sleep environment. So make sure you have a comfortable bed, pillows and blankets. I just had to get new pillows because I went to a hotel and I was like, man, these pillows are awesome. Mine are not like this. I need to get different pillows. Making sure your bedroom is cool. Probably cooler than you would normally keep it. I know I'm a cold person and I typically keep my house at about 74 degrees, but I will open the window before I go to bed. Making sure it's dark and quiet. If you have night lights, I won't judge. I had one for a long time. And then I wanted to share a couple examples and see if anybody else had some kind of, I don't want to say out-of-pocket examples, but something that's maybe not typical. So for me, I have a pillow spray. I believe it's like eucalyptus mint or something. It's from Bath & Body Works. But I also have a matching lotion with it. Spray it on my pillows, spray it on my sheets. And I don't know, it's just a very relaxing scent. It helps me fall asleep. Research was done specifically with a lavender scented spray. But with this, it did show that they had an increase of sleep quality. And I also personally like to shower before bed. And this has also been shown with studies to help sleep. Because when we're getting ready to go for bed, your body is naturally, melatonin helps lower your temperature for sleep. And so if you shower, while you're hot in the shower, you get out, you're all wet, you're freezing cold, it kind of helps your body cool down a little bit. I personally cannot sleep if I'm sweaty. I feel, I just lay awake and I toss and I turn. So yeah, does anybody want to share some sleep hygiene tools that they might use?
I have a good one. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. So if you like say a word to yourself, like the word read, you're supposed to go through each letter of the word and then you come up with a different word with each one. So like you're going to say read and then you're going to do rabbit and then you're going to do elephant, and you do that until you get to the end. And then if the last word is D, so like say dog, then you're supposed to do a word begins with D and then O and then G. And then you get so bored with it, I think eventually you fall asleep.
Okay, no, I like that a lot. I feel like especially for overthinkers where it's easy to lay down and just be like, oh, here's my to-do list and my grocery list and oh gosh, I can't forget to do this in the morning. I'm gonna steal that. I like that. Anybody else?
Yeah, works for me.
Okay.
I have an eye mask that has built-in headphones, and so I listen. There's all kinds of different playlists on Spotify, so I listen to a sleep. It's just kind of like instrumental music. Forces my eyes to stay closed, and I concentrate on the music, and that helps a lot.
Okay, yeah, no, I like that a lot. I did not know that that was an invention. But it will be going on my Amazon wish list for sure. Okay, thank you guys. I'm really appreciating all the feedback. Okay, final point, stress. So stress is kind of this really vicious cycle, right? We have stress. We're not able to control it well. We have insomnia. We can't fall asleep. We can't stay asleep. Then we're tired, and then being tired leads to being unable to control our stress. I definitely struggle a lot with this when I have stressful events in my life. I notice that my sleep just goes down the drain, and it sucks, and it's really hard to get back in control. So stress impacts the body in a ton of ways. Physically, huge long list here. Headaches, muscle aches, fatigue, low libido, GI problems, and again, a lowered immune response. So nothing that you want to be dealing with for sure. Mentally, stress also has a great impact. It can show up as anxiety, restlessness, inability to focus, memory issues, feeling overwhelmed, feeling irritable, and depression. And then behaviorally, there are also some things that stress can have a negative effect on, such as overeating, undereating. You might be having emotional outbursts, or you're more likely to abuse drugs or alcohol. You might also have a decrease in socialization and a decrease in physical activity. And so yeah, these affect all 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine, which, as I talked about, all 6 pillars are so vital and important in lifestyle medicine for managing and preventing chronic disease. So stress really does a number on us. And again, another real world example of in the OR. Stress is everywhere in the OR. As anybody who has ever been in the OR or has seen, Grey's Anatomy, which is over dramatic, but sometimes I'm like, oh, that hits. So yeah, there's stressful cases. It's very technically demanding, and there are just really high emotional states. OR staff deal with long hours, there's high stake decisions, there's fatigue and a lack of rest, and there's quite an emotional toll that can come from different patient outcomes. So I wanted to talk about how we can manage stress. And I feel like everybody gets told, oh, if you're stressful, just journal, just meditate, just do yoga. It's like, yeah, whatever. But these really do help. I wish it's kind of one of those things that's easier said than done, because you kind of have to force yourself to do these. So yeah, I separated it: mentally, meditating, of course, journaling, shifting your mindset, and connecting with loved ones. Again, that's social connection from one of the 6 pillars. And physically can look like working out, yoga, eating well, and getting outside. I also, again, you guys have been so great about this, wanted to open it up for a discussion on your favorite ways to manage stress. And mine is shifting my mindset. I read somewhere about this thing called lucky girl syndrome, where you go throughout your day, and instead of being like, oh gosh, there's so much traffic and I'm gonna be late to work, or I get to work and it's so busy and so crazy and I barely have time to do anything, you're just shifting away and you're thinking, gosh, how lucky I am that I get to sit in traffic and just enjoy the sunrise and enjoy my morning. Or I'm so lucky that I get to have a job that I truly enjoy, that I'm helping people. So that's something that I like to do. Does anybody have anything that they go to? Doesn't have to be on this list for sure. Like I said, I like hearing out-of-pocket ones that you might not think about.
I like to try and find something that you can get super involved in that'll kind of take all your attention away from everything else. Like I draw and paint a lot, or I picked up tattooing too. I taught myself how to tattoo. And especially tattooing will really get your mind involved with what you're doing instead of everything else going on around you.
Okay, awesome. Learning to tattoo at home. Do you tattoo yourself or do you tattoo others?
I've only ever tattooed myself before. I've never done it on anybody else.
Okay, still, that's really cool. Anybody else? Okay. So I have kind of a silly activity that everybody can do. This is something that I learned through therapy, and it's called square breathing. I feel like it's fairly well known, but it's one of my favorite breathing techniques to do, just because it is so ridiculously easy. So if everybody wants to practice this at home or listen to me practice it, I honestly do this a lot. It's just so easy to do. Like if I am scrubbed in the OR, I can do it right then and there, and nobody's gonna know that I'm doing this. So you breathe in for 4, 2, 3, 4. You're holding for 4, 2, 3, 4. You're breathing out for 4, 2, 3, 4. And then you're holding for another 4, 2, 3, 4. And you just repeat this. Because as humans, when we get stressed out, we tend to hold our breath, which is why it's important that we are holding when we breathe in. But the breathing out and the holding is also very important for calming our nervous system. Okay. And how can we provide stress support for employees? This is kind of where it's getting into like, what can you guys do for your sakes and for everybody in the hospital? Emotional support, of course, is very helpful. Just being a listening ear, being able to listen without judgment and showing empathy, acknowledging different stressors. There's so many stressors that go on in everybody's lives, both in work and outside of work. You know, there's grief, there's increased workloads, maybe somebody just became a new parent. Yeah, tons of things that can cause stressors. And providing access to different mental health services, spaces to relax, and providing time to unwind. It is my understanding that there is a mental health service that I think it's Employee Health. There's like a crisis hotline. I'd like to know more about that for sure. I know that they talk about it a tiny bit in the OR, but I would love to see that being more, how do you say, like more easily accessible, and just, it would be really awesome if we ever had somebody that was just in-house to go and listen to. I don't know if that's a thing or not, just something I've thought about. And then for sleep, so reducing stress, like I said, they go hand in hand, so that's a big one. Encouraging rest, making it a priority for yourself, but also others. I think it's really important to encourage the time off of, you need to go home, you need to sleep, you need to rest. I also believe that it is a policy at UC Health that I don't know the exact policy, but I know that if you're working overnight that you do have a mandated 8 hours off, I believe. Personally, I'd love to fight for 10 hours off, just so that way you have time in between of like, you can shower, eat something, because otherwise you're not getting a full 8 hours of sleep if you only have 8 hours off. And respecting time off. Time off means I'm not working. I'm not answering emails. I'm not answering phone calls unless I'm on call, of course. I'm not doing work from home unless I'm expected to. And I do think UC Health does a really, really good job of this, which I am very appreciative of. All right, conclusion. We made it. So sleep is essential for our mental and physical health, and stress greatly impacts sleep and vice versa. So, sorry, I had to say a lot of things just to get to that. Again, if anybody has any questions that they wanted to ask. Okay, cool. Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Gosh, I was so nervous. I've never really given a presentation before. I'm usually the one in the chairs in the auditorium falling asleep to presentations. So I just wanted to thank you for carving out some time in your day to help a student, fellow employee, get to practice presenting, because theoretically one day I will be doing this more often. So yeah, I appreciate you guys. And I definitely really liked all the participation. Okay, final thing, and I promise I'll leave you guys alone, is I have this evaluation form. I'm not sure if you guys are I can definitely just put the link in the chat. It's just a short little 5-minute evaluation form that essentially is just rating me on how this presentation went, just for my feedback, just so that way, like I said, hopefully one day I'll be doing this more, and I would like to know how I can get better at it. Let me know if you guys are just using the QR code or if you would prefer me to put a link in the chat.
You'll have to put a link in the chat. It says
Okay.
The form's deactivated when using the QR code.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that's what I get for trying to learn how to use a QR code. Okay. Okay. Yeah, thank you guys for bearing with me also with this, because I just so struggle sometimes. Okay. Okay, I put it in there, so just let me know. Okay, awesome. Yeah, thank you, Kelsey,
That
for
worked.
putting it in the first call with Lyra Health. Sorry, I wasn't able to look at all the things. Essential oils. Why do you have ChatGPT open? Menopause. Oh gosh, okay. These are hilarious. Thank you. Okay, and then I think I just have my sources. Yeah, so I wanted to talk about this book really, really quick. If you guys have not heard of it, this has been, I cannot stress this enough, one of the best books that I've ever read. Nonfiction, of course. I love me some Sarah Maas. But I recommend it to literally everybody in my life. My friends actually have told me to start shutting up when I talk about this book. I read this book for a stress and sleep class a couple semesters ago, and I have not stopped thinking about it. There is a free PDF online that you can find too, but this is where I got a lot of the information for this PowerPoint. And then I have all my other sources, you know, blah, 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 lots of things. Okay, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. This has been an awesome opportunity, and you guys have worked so well with me. Aw, thanks for the claps. Okay, here, I'm gonna stop presenting. If there's anything anybody else would like to say, ask, otherwise that's all that I had.
Thank you, Kat, so much. That was definitely amazing. I learned a lot, so that was awesome. Thank you.
Of course, yeah. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Okay, you guys have a good rest of your Thursday and enjoy the sunny weather if you can.
Thanks, Kat.
Of course. Bye.